I'm Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and everybody's got a price for lazy booking. Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to Lazy Booking. No, it's true. It's damn true. Ho! Hey, folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and if you want to know what's going on in wrestling, check out Lazy Bookings. Ho!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of Lazy Booking right here on A2DRadio.com. Brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accountants located at 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA. You can give them a call at 215-369-3300. It's that time of the year, so be ready, be prepared, and call Gibson Mayer.
What's up, fam? Thursday night. Lazy Booking coming at you. Happy Bryce Harper Day to all those Philadelphia sports fans out there.
Boom!
Clearly, we have big news today.
Clearly.
And I would be remiss to not mention the fact that Bryce Harper has signed with the Philadelphia Phillies. Not going to get into a deep conversation in it, guys, because this is the wrestling show, but I'm not going to act like something big didn't happen today either. So.
Is it just me, or though, does it always happen on Thursday night when it's the niche night, as you like to say, that the big things happen?
Niche night.
I love it.
That's why
I love it.
This is like our black sheep night. This is where we're off the beaten path here at A2D Radio. But our Scanzano Sports poll question, pretty simple, guys. Will Roman Reigns be in the title hunt at WrestleMania? Yes or no? Big week this week for wrestling fans. Roman Reigns coming back from his leukemia scare that we had. Happy to have him back. We're going to break into that. Pretty eventful Raw altogether, I think, that we had, guys, and SmackDown. A pretty eventful week in general. We'll talk about that, especially on SmackDown, a couple of returns that we had this week. And we're going to finally bring to you the Lazies, the 2018 Lazies. It wouldn't be called the Lazies if we didn't wait until the end of February, the very last day, to bring you awards from 2018.
Hey, they do it for the Grammys and the Academy Awards.
Damn right.
Why should we be any different?
That's right. So with that, but we still went after them. So with that, guys, we're going to bring those to you.
Because we're worth waiting for.
Absolutely. We're going to bring those to you in the second half, all our categories, nominees. We had an 11-person group of people who helped us to pick the award winners, and we will do that. You got Chrome and Matty, the Ginger Gang. You have the D team, diabetic team here.
Boom!
With Mike Mataraki joining us over here.
Although you notice, this is now my second consecutive show with no candy.
I know.
I'm working on taking the D team to a B team.
Okay, all right.
Nice.
We could be the A team. We could be the athletic team and then get in like physical.
Did my B team reference literally just sail right over your head?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it did. I missed it.
B team. Go.
Oh, yeah. Screw them. We're not going to B team. I want to be better than them.
All right.
We're better than them. Ryan Broda over on the ones and twos. He's going to be coming at you, and he's going to be interacting with you guys on social media. And we hope that you guys are going to join us on Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all over the place. We're looking forward to chatting up, guys. Big week this week. So, Roman Reigns, big announcement. I want to get your reactions because it was interesting. Obviously, we talked last week Roman Reigns was going to be coming back for an update on his status. I don't know how you guys felt about it. But I know watching the initial entrance, I was not feeling real great about the direction it was going. It looked like a retirement speech entrance, going around, greeting all the fans, the hug with his mother, and obviously Dwayne's mother was in the crowd as well. I was a little bit scared that this could be what I would consider one of the worst nightmares. Clearly, the product has suffered without Roman. I think people now realize that he was a lot more valuable to the company and to the show and to the product of the show, the actual production of the show. It's lacked that star power. So for me, just the initial reaction of the entrance, I was worried. What about you guys?
Go ahead, Matty.
Okay. I mean, it was odd because he kind of came out not so he was walking out, not gingerly, but he was walking out without kind of a strut or any kind of confidence in his step, and it was like, oh, boy, what kind of update are we going to get right here?
Well, yeah, like I thought it was more of he's like taking it in as if this could be like the last time as a quote-unquote active wrestler.
Yeah, so, I mean, when he started to dive in and he was starting to say I'm going to be saying this a lot more times, but thank you. I was like, oh, that is not a good way to start this one off. But then as it started to get a little bit more building, oh, he's going to say he's in remission, isn't he? Like, or is he going to say something, you know?
It
like
started to get a little bit of a
It
positive
started to
tone.
get a little bit more hopeful at that moment because he started saying everything about, you know, people who are in need like I was. And so he's starting to say things in the past tense. I'm like, oh, so good news now? Is it? Like, it started to kind of grow as he started continuing his speech there.
Mikey?
See, my thing is, for me, it was spoiled. I had been tipped off earlier in the day. I was actually listening to Busted Open on Sirius XM in the morning, and supposedly there was either a tweet or an Instagram post from a trainer that he had been working with in Hawaii. And the post said that he was working towards an in-ring return. So then they wound up having the guy call in from Hawaii at like 6 o'clock in the morning out there. And he said that he was not Roman's personal trainer, but he had been putting him through workouts in Waikiki or something like that. And that he was still probably about a month and a half away, which ironically would put him right around WrestleMania. He said he was probably about a month and a half away from a full-time in-ring return, but he was working towards an actual, you know, in-ring return. And I was just kind of like, I should have just turned this off. I should have just turned this off. I should have just turned it off. But then when I watched it on DVR at like midnight Monday night, I was like, okay. Like, because I like to Matty's point, when he first came out, I still wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Especially given that he looked good, but he looked smaller.
Looked skinnier. Yep.
And
Definitely looked
the
like
coloring
he had lost a
was definitely a little different.
Yep.
Like, it was, you could tell that he was not the same guy.
Yeah.
Although when they came out and did the run-in at the end of the Ambrose match, he looked fast.
Yeah.
Like, he looked like the weight that he dropped really kind of helped with the dexterity,
Yeah.
you know, flexibility, speed, whatever. So, good on him.
See, Mike, that's why, particularly on days of quote-unquote big announcements and surprises,
Don't listen.
I
Anything.
say, if it wasn't for the MLB stuff going on with Bryce Harper, I would have never even gone on Twitter. But I just relied on only looking at notifications that came up. I did not hit timelines on Twitter on Monday because I didn't want anything to spoil. I did hear about the trainer. I had only seen from previous posts that they were working together. I didn't even see necessarily it was a in-ring return, but that he was working on getting his conditioning and strength back, which when you talk about cancer can be anything. It could just so that you can go back to living your normal life and your general everyday life.
For sure.
I wasn't sure, but obviously, clearly, as everything had gone on, or as he had continued to speak, I, like Matty, had gotten a little bit more hopeful as things went on, and obviously, clearly, he dropped the big announcement that he is in remission. Again, for people who aren't very medical savvy, remission doesn't mean that it's necessarily gone, or that it can't come back if he doesn't continue to get treatment and continue to go and get. You know, generally people who are in remission have to go back and get tested. Every 6 months or so they have to do testing just to make sure that they're continuing to be in remission. I believe that what Roman has is a chronic form of it, which means he's always going to have to deal with this. It's probably something for the rest of his life he's going to have to go, and he's going to have to get see different doctors and stuff to make sure that, you know, he continues to stay on a good path. I want to get your reactions to the Smark fan base, because I have to say, what agitates me is that everything has to be a work. And even after the fact, you have people coming on saying, why didn't he lose his hair? How come this? How come that?
You don't always lose your hair.
WWE must be doing a work with this. And that is the most ridiculous, uneducated naive, stupid things to say. It shows me people who don't understand how cancer works. Not every form of treatment in cancer, you lose your hair.
Well, not everything requires chemo.
Exactly. And chemo is one of the primary things of when that happens.
Yeah.
Well, I know 2 people specifically that have gone through different types of chemo and radiation and have not lost any hair.
I have family members that had to go through cancer treatment and didn't lose their hair.
It doesn't happen to everyone.
No, it doesn't. And what I'm thankful for is there, and I can't remember the name of the association. There was something, one of the cancer associations, I think specifically regarding leukemia, came out and broke down. They openly spoke and came to the defense of Roman Reigns when the social media nonsense started.
Leukemia and Lymphoma Society?
Something like that, yeah. And they had specifically gone through and explained the different forms of cancer and that not everything is going to make your hair thin out or your hair fall out and make you turn to skin and bones. It's not always like that. And it also depends on the individual and how strong their body is and their conditioning, how well they've kept themselves in good shape previously to be able to be in a better position to fight off different types of diseases and whatnot. And then there was actually someone who has a similar form of cancer to Roman who also openly came out and spoke about their experience of going through the process. Said themselves, I didn't lose a hair on my head. So it's just because it's professional wrestling and it's a choreographed thing is the most nonsensical thing in the world. And I think it's very stupid and naive to immediately jump to these types of conclusions.
Well, the question that I would pose to these people is, do you really think that Good Morning America would have him on the next day?
Nope.
And have him do an interview with Robin Roberts, who herself is a cancer survivor.
Multiple-time cancer survivor.
If his illness was a work.
Yeah.
Let's get a freaking clue, people.
And have Roman going out and even while sick, visiting sick kids in Dallas Hospital and everything else.
I think the problem is a lot of them are stuck in that era of WWE where back then they would do things like this, where not cancer related, but injury angles. Mm-hmm. Where nowadays injury angles.
Or Big Show's father in a casket.
Oh God,
or Vince,
yes.
Or Vince blowing up in a limo.
Yeah, I think they get stuck with those stigmas there that unfortunately they don't understand. Like it's a different thing nowadays, especially for example, how many years ago was it they would do a concussion angle? They don't do those anymore because of how serious concussions are, the knowledge that is out there now. They don't mess around with concussion angles anymore because of that reason. Mm-hmm. But people are stuck in that era where it's just like, oh yeah, but they did this angle like 7 or 8 years ago. It's like that was 7 or 8 years ago. Like it's been that long, or like 10 or 12 years ago. I'm like, that's 10 or 12 years. Like things change in 10 or 12 years.
And it's not even just that. It's common sense, guys. Like, come on, like do you really they really believe that there's people out here who think like Vince is like the real world equivalent to like Darth Vader in the evil empire and that there's nothing.
He is in storyline.
Right. In storyline.
We'll get into that later on because I got a whole theory going on here now.
Oh God.
Does this have something to do with SmackDown possibly?
It's got something to do with Raw and SmackDown. But I digress.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into that shortly. But I just think in the end of it, and particularly for a publicly traded company, you're talking about stuff before really they went public. You're talking about a publicly traded company who has advertisers, has sponsors, has investors of the general public. It's an open traded company. Mm-hmm. You can't do that. You can't pull swindles and bamboozle fans and take these kinds of risks. I mean, that's the kind of thing that could destroy a company.
You can't have a guy come out on Monday Night Raw, break character, tell the world he's got leukemia, disappear for 4 months, have him come back, and then reveal that it was a work. You cannot do that. No. That is literally the worst business in the world.
Mm-hmm. It's nonsense. It's absolute bullshit. And I'm just saying, I mean.
That's something that even Paul Heyman in the height of ECW wouldn't even do. Like, seriously.
Well, I'm going to read down to the comments, but I do see one comment by John see Danzo, John, he's on every week. We love you, brother. He says, remember when they did the Road Warrior, Hawk, drugs, and drunk angle? And they did it with Scott Hall and WCW. And listen, that stuff's been done
90s.
different time in the world, that not publicly traded companies. It's a whole different world now. I mean, you're talking about a PR. This is a PR nightmare. This is a very PC world that we live in now. You can't get away with these kinds of things anymore. And they would never do that now.
No.
They would never touch on that stuff now as a form of entertainment.
Piece of breaking news here, boys. Just announced Northeast Florida's first ever pro wrestling convention, River City Wrestling Con, debuts in Jacksonville on June 29th, 2019. Approximately 1 month after Double or Nothing, in the city that is the quote-unquote home base for all Elite Wrestling. Interesting.
Very intriguing.
What's interesting about it?
I'm guessing that this River City Wrestling Con will either be in conjunction with their second show, or there will be a TV deal announced there.
Yeah,
Possibly.
It could be.
Possibly.
I'm not convinced that they're not going to announce a TV deal during WrestleMania weekend. So
It could happen.
I mean, that's the ultimate drive a stick up Vince's ass move to do.
I'm
so it wouldn't
not
shock me.
convinced that some of these guys who are no longer associated with Ring of Honor and New Japan don't show up at the Garden on WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, it's possible. Absolutely.
There's also, 2 or 3 other independent shows in the area that weekend?
Yep.
I think you're going to be seeing plenty of those guys.
Jumping back into Roman, though. So, all right.
Yeah,
so, Roman's
definitely.
back. Wonderful that Roman's back. Pretty cool he had Seth come out. I was a little shocked they didn't have Dean come out.
But then later on in the night, we find out
Right.
why.
And you kind of had an understanding why. An interesting piece of news about Dean Ambrose, if you did not see this today. He has now been promoted as being on house show cards after his contract is supposed to be expired. So there is a lot of talk of Ambrose is possibly not leaving. I mean, clearly if they're putting him on, there's something in the works. There's something going on. There's been rumblings of possibly maybe Roman being there was a huge difference, changed his mindset a little bit. I've also seen that there are potential plans possibly with Fastlane coming up for the Shield, having the Shield go up against Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, and Baron Corbin, which I think would be a great opportunity. It's a great way to get Roman back in the ring, but not have to take, the full load. So there's been that idea that's tossed around. I hope it's true. It's going to be a big blow to AEW, though, in regards to
if it's true, yeah.
If there's truth to that, because the whole thing was, listen, I mean, these guys, the Ty Dillingers and who the hell else was released? I know Hideo Itami. These guys could be guys that they could be going after and pick up, and they would be nice additions to their roster.
They're not names.
They're not a Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
Dean Ambrose is a game changer for them. John Moxley. He's a game changer.
Plus, also, out of the 3, the only one who's an indie name would be Kenta because of his Japan cred, but he's probably going to go back to Japan. So it's like you're probably only going to get two of those
I believe
guys.
that one of the conditions of his release was that he had to – he could only work in Japan for, I think it was 90 days or something like that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, all right then.
Yeah.
So it tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, so, I mean, if that's true, particularly at a time now where it could be very important for AEW to potentially pick up a guy like that and really make your mark right off the bat. I mean, I know they have Jericho, and they've made a few big acquisitions, obviously, with Omega, but that's not a surprise.
Right.
This is huge. This could be a big blow for them because that's the first. I mean, Jericho is one thing, but Jericho's kind of been working with these guys.
Right.
To go out and pull a name like a John Moxley, Dean Ambrose, man, that's a game changer right there. That's bringing eyes to the product.
I mean,
from the WWE product. I mean, there's people who know Jericho, but this isn't the Jericho that you saw aside from the Festival of Friendship era with Owens, which was spectacular in the list of Jericho.
Oh God, that was great.
I still don't think they're as invested in Jericho as pretty much the bulk of his career. He was more of a secondary guy to a Kevin Owens while you still had Roman and those types of guys. Ambrose has been in the thick of things. Ambrose is on television every single week. He doesn't go and take breaks off other than his injury. This would have been the coup of coup for them to be able to go out and get them.
Well, to me, that's just kind of one of those things to AEW where it's just like, all right, so your big swipe is now gone. Prove it.
Yeah.
You got to prove it now. You got to bring the goods to your events. Now, is that a hard thing for them to do? It shouldn't be. They have plenty of talent. So now you just got to all right, so your big surprise is gone. That doesn't mean that you're doomed. Just means, hey, you go down and you put on a fantastic show and you show the world hey, there is going to be a really strong alternative to Vince,
But here's the thing.
Key word.
Alternative.
Alternative.
Not competitor.
Not competitor. They are years away from even getting a sniff of competitor.
Decades
See, here-
away.
here's
If that's ever a direction they decide to go in.
Right, but
People are making them a competitor. They, other than Jericho using that word once,
Right.
nobody's ever said that, including Cody or the Bucks, of being a competitor to WWE. It's an alternative.
You're right. And here's the thing. We don't actually know whether John Moxley intended to go there or not because we even talked about it on the show back then.
I don't think it was ever an intention.
That he was basically just going to walk away for a while.
And that was your theory. My theory is it's been a work from the beginning.
And that's possible, too.
I think it's an absolute ultimate work from the beginning.
But
if there was the consideration by having Roman come back, a guy who's kind of been there and a lot of them have talked about, he's more of a leader than people ever gave him credit for, and you heard about a lot of it after he went away. Again, talk about game changer. That could be a game changer for Ambrose's mindset.
Let's say it's not a work, but they went to Dean and said, "Listen, we have a program in mind for you to go out with, but with Roman coming back, it's now going to take a little longer to execute."
Right.
Can we operate on a handshake deal until the program is done?
Well, there's that. And maybe also while that whole, stuff was going around the rumor mill, maybe he did possibly talk to Cody or any of them, and listen to the offer and considered it for a minute or two. I mean, it's possible
but that's
he could
the thing.
have.
They can't make an offer. There's a legal ramification, so there's been no negotiation unless they've done something behind WWE's back. Which
I mean,
Vince has got a nose to sniff that shit out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's true. I mean,
you were essentially talking about if Ambrose's contract expires and Ambrose does not re-sign, he, I believe at the earliest, could work for them was either, I think it was the end of July.
Well, hold on. It would have been May, June. Yeah, end of July.
End of July is his contract. He would have had a 90-day no-compete.
He could negotiate right away.
Correct.
But he would have to have been out of contract for 90 days, correct?
Before he can appear.
Before he can appear.
So the day after his contract is up, he can
day
now
91.
negotiate. Correct.
Yeah.
And cannot appear for a 90-day period. So,
I actually thought that there was a possibility that the whole Roman and Seth kind of leaving Dean in the ring was going to lead to a Roman and Dean match at WrestleMania, and Dean goes out on his back, to Roman, and that's, kind of how it ends. But, maybe with this news today that he has been announced for more dates, they're going to extend the program a little bit.
yeah.
Which I guess kind of answers the poll question, too, of no, I don't see Roman in the title program.
Yeah, and you know what, too, kind of piggybacking off of that, Mike, one of the things that I talked about a couple weeks ago, and I felt very strongly about it, was I feel like I wasn't convinced he was definitely going to leave, because I do believe that if there was a chance Roman was coming back, he would regret not being there and being a part of that.
Agreed.
Which could be a factor in, like you said, even if it's not a long-term commitment, maybe waiting it out a little bit and giving a little bit more time and having that ability to be a part of that return with Roman before he makes a decision on if he wants to go off on his own for creative reasoning or whatever the reasoning is.
Right.
I'm excited about it, though, and clearly Ambrose as a heel is not working. I don't know how it flubbed because I really thought that it could be something strong. I think they waited too long.
Did you say
to do
flub?
it. Flub.
There's no flub.
There's no
here.
flub.
There's no fucking flub.
I told you, I've watched that video way too much. I have used the word flub more in the last month or month and a half than I might have my entire life.
I'm sorry, because every time I hear the word now, I have to have to quote the
Did you
video.
say flub? There's no fucking flub.
We quoted it last night. We were like, send it in.
It's so true. Which, by the way, on A2D, you could find the video of Dan Marino and his quote-unquote no fucking flub.
No fucking flub.
That's on A2D's content. But, yeah, no, listen, I'm really excited about it. I'm happy that Dean's coming back. Or Roman is back and Dean's going to be hanging around for a little bit.
And he looks happy. Like
Are you talking about Roman?
Roman. Like,
Yeah.
Roman legitimately, like, you know how, like, a lot of people, they get the, the diagnosis
Sure.
that they're in remission, and you, the one thing that you get from them is just, like, a feeling of relief.
Mm-hmm.
And with that feeling of relief comes still a certain degree of uncertainty and stress.
Sure.
But with Roman, at least visually, like, he just looked happy.
Well,
Like he knows that, and maybe he was already past the relief stage, and now he's just, he's ready to just jump back into it.
Well, I believe, if you clearly watched Raw, and if you happen to catch the Good Morning America interview that he did, he was very genuine and he spoke specifically on Good Morning America about how 11 years ago he was on his own.
Right.
He had a kid on the way. He didn't have that kind of a support. He was scared, didn't know what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. As opposed to the difference this time is, it's not just the outpouring from his friends and family. It's all of his colleagues. It's this massive WWE universe that, he said people loved him or hate him. Everybody reached out to him. People tweeted him. People Instagrammed him. And people did everything. He said people found ways to get in contact with me. I didn't even know how the hell they managed to make it happen. But it did. And he said every single one of those meant a lot to him. He never felt alone because he knew that he had that support. He had celebrities outside of the pro wrestling industry, people who, like a Robin Roberts, someone of that ilk who has been a face of the whole cancer research world, being there for him and being an outlet and giving him well wishes. I mean, that's huge compared to being a 22-year-old kid who's on your own.
Yeah.
I mean, he did. He looked relieved. He looked as refreshed as you could expect, and he looked grateful. Like as Daniel Bryan uses the word grateful.
Right.
That was the word that came to my mind was this dude is like grateful to have this opportunity to come back.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of that, too, don't you think it's kind of sad just a little bit? Because one thing that did piss me off was seeing all those fans out there that about 8 months ago were booing the shit out of him.
It doesn't bother me.
To me, it does because I'm like, I'm happy that you're cheering now, but you guys were very ungrateful the first time around
I agree.
for Roman Reigns. Hopefully you can fix that this
to
time
me,
around.
How many people on this show, not saying names, shit on Roman Reigns for the first year we were on the air here? And how many people here religiously defended Roman Reigns over and 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 over?
Here, Matty, let me give you the complete.
I don't think
opposite
that you didn't
viewpoint on
appreciate him though. You would talk more in the storyline, but how many times from us having conversations, and sometimes Ryan, because Ryan I think at times felt like he was forced down our throats. You said it, not a big deal.
What, Roman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was more of a Lesnar guy.
Well, I know you really shit on Lesnar.
No,
I mean,
over
we
the-
ain't mad at you for that. I'll tell you that.
No, I
But-
mean, have I been critical of the guy? Sure, but no,
Yeah.
I never understood the hatred for him.
Right, but I that falls into people getting caught up like we talk about all the time, right? The storylines.
Well,
and
I
stuff
was going to say, to me, the fact that all those people that were booing the shit out of him 6 months ago are now cheering him wildly, to me, that's encouraging. And it's encouraging from a human standpoint.
Yeah.
That people understand.
Wrestling fans have a really hard time sometimes
separating
reality
from
and fictional.
storylines. Exactly. So to me, that tells me that fans are getting smarter, that they understand the difference between the storyline and the reality, They understand the difference between Roman and Joe. And
True. That's a really good point.
and I think he helped that a lot when he came out there and did the diagnosis and said, my real name is Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was by accident.
No. That was intentional
Right.
for sure.
But, I mean, to me, going forward, I think it will be really, really hard for anybody to ever boo him again. I mean, they might as well just book him as a Superman babyface for the rest of his career.
I will say, Matty probably would have loved this. I did say
Matty will find a way to boo him eventually. But
how crazy epic would it have been though if he makes this announcement and then at the end of Raw he turns on Seth and goes heel. Finally got the heel turn at the end of the show. Oh my God, that would have been the craziest storyline ever. But they're not going to do that.
No.
Especially with this
or if it would have been
Foundations
him that was the one that attacked Ric Flair.
The only way he could ever be oh my God, that would be funny.
Hey,
But
Hunter, do I have your attention now?
They're
I'm back.
You had our attention all night, douchebag.
What I think would have been the only way he could ever be a heel nowadays would be if he left WWE and went to another promotion and just said, "Yeah, I'm the WWE guy, but I'm going to take your title, shit on your couch, and then leave because that's how I roll." That would be the only way he could be a heel nowadays. Seriously,
it's going to be really tough for him to ever be a heel.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm not saying that they couldn't do it, but you're talking years.
Oh
down
yeah,
the road.
you would have to get it divided.
This really has to be a part of the past, and that's going to be a long time, if ever, because with the foundations and stuff that he's going to be such a pivotal part in getting rolling out and being the face of.
And
it's going to be the Cena thing. You couldn't when Cena hit 500 Make-A-Wishes, you can't turn John Cena heel.
Although
you just can't do it.
I will say this though, there is a way, and it's down the road. That he could come out one day and just say, you people booed the hell out of me for months and months and months, no matter what I did.
Well, years, actually.
I busted my ass in this ring night in and night out, and you booed the hell out of me. And it took a leukemia diagnosis for you to realize the talent that I am.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll ever do it.
I know, but that's really the only way they could do it.
You'd have to figure out a way to do it. That'd be it,
would be for him to be bitter about the fact that it took the diagnosis for them to cheer him.
Yeah.
And you couldn't roll that out for at least 3 or 4 years.
That would be like the cold-hearted booker and you coming out and saying, we can take full advantage of this.
Right,
that's the Paul Heyman coming out.
But you need a massive... But you need a massive cooling off period before you go there, or else it spins right back to what you came to originally was it a work?
Yep. Let me get to the fam. We've had some comments sitting here. I didn't want you to think I was ignoring you guys. Similar to when Roman
the only person on the tube right now is Rosca, and I'm sure he's on the book. So
I did. Similar to when Roman's diagnosis first came out, we wanted to make sure we took the time to really kind of dig into it before we hit comments and kind of broke up the flow of it. So we appreciate you guys and your patience. Bill Middlebrook, he says, "What's up, fam?" with a PH. I think that's a Philadelphia fam there. What's
Bill,
up, brother?
I'm still going to punch you in the dick.
Andy Ritter.
He knows why. You know why.
Andy Ritter says, kind of upset that no one is dressed fancier for the award show. Was expecting at least someone in a fancy shirt or something. Listen, man. I dressed all day for work. Yeah. I'm getting relaxed. I'm lazy.
I'm currently in a full tuxedo right now.
You just can't see that Brodo is fully dressed up.
But the idea of the Lazies is that we're lazy enough not to get dressed up for the awards.
I will say for the original inception of this, I did wear a blazer and a dress coat. Not last year's, the original podcast and YouTube show. I wore a blazer and dress coat.
All right,
dress shirt.
Next year, we need to dress up like Howard Finkel.
Deal. Tuxedos required.
Give it up. I
might even get like the bald skull cap with the horseshoe hair on it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Lazies 2020.
Jake Friel says, "What's up, boys?" Ralph Delavecchio says, "When is Undertaker coming back?"
Whenever he wants.
What?
It's an open door for him.
I'm guessing April 6th.
Yeah, I still think he's going to be a part of Mania.
Really?
Yeah, they'll have a match for him.
Really?
I'm not convinced that he's not going to be.
I mean, it depends if he wants to or he doesn't. You know.
I mean, there's a reason why all his bookings are well after Mania weekend, though, including Starcast.
So maybe he's just trying to not drive up the price. I'm like still in Scott Boras mode, but like, you know what I mean? Like he's going on other like venues type things. He's doing other events.
So he recently, and I saved it to my videos to watch on YouTube.
Found God.
He did. He actually did an out of character interview recently where he got very emotional. And he did mention on there that he would like to continue to work in 2019 and do a couple of matches. Not a lot, but, his normal taker thing. I would imagine it's going to happen with WWE. I don't see him showing up on AEW, guys. I mean, I hate I hate to burst your bubble.
No.
TNA.
No.
That's a joke.
Good.
No.
That's a joke.
It's Mean Mark. Mean Mark. Mean Mark.
And wait, what station are they on again? I don't even fucking know.
Facebook.com.
You can see them on Twitch.
I was going to say Pop.
They have a Twitch channel.
I was going to say Pop TV, but that's no longer accurate.
No. Frank Vespi says, hey, yo, sorry to bother you at work. Of course, he'll be involved in the title picture, talking about Roman. Greg Milakovic, happy Harper Day, boys. Happy Harper Day to you, buddy. Joey DiBardino, he says, when the Lakers win a chip with LeBron, oh, wait, never mind. I love a good Lakers Crumb Ralph little jab in there, Joey. Good job.
On.
I don't care that it's a wrestling show. I'll take it.
Actually, with the Roman title picture thing, this is a chance for WWE to do something that they've been trying to do. They just never were given the fan support to do it.
Hornswoggle looks like a
is
that
great.
A Wookiee? Is that what they are?
No, it's a Wookiee.
I don't watch Star Wars.
It's
So I
a
don't know.
Ewok.
Yeah.
On his.
So good.
On Bully Ray's.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I was
Jesus.
going to say
That's hilarious.
this is a chance for WWE to kind of do something that they never got a chance to really properly do, and that is actually build Roman to a big title win. Because unfortunately, all the other times he got shat on every other time. So you can actually
except
do that.
for
is that past tense of
except for when he won.
shitted?
Except for when he won in Philadelphia.
Yes,
when he won the
except that
title,
one
he
time.
was over.
Although eventually they did turn on
But
him.
that's because WWE screwed him with the booking by putting him against Daniel Bryan at Fastlane.
That is true.
After
You're
Daniel
right.
Bryan
Yeah.
did not win WrestleMania or win Royal Rumble, and then lost in the number one
Well,
contender
you
match.
were
to
there
get
that
him in.
night,
I was
right?
there. It was
So-
unbelievable
Yeah,
how
when-
over Roman was that night.
Right, when he beat Sheamus that night, that place went ballistic. And
You deserve it chance going
Right.
to Roman.
And when Raw went off the air, he was the one that grabbed the microphone and said, like, wow, this is the same crowd that booed me out of town.
I have a video of him doing that
11
speech.
months ago.
Yeah.
You would have thought that would have taught WWE, okay, keep him away from Daniel Bryan as much as humanly possible. But no, they did not learn that lesson.
I do think he'll be back in the chase and that payoff will happen, but I would look more towards either Survivor Series. I don't even think SummerSlam, or you get closer to next year's WrestleMania, because I think bringing him back now, A, you don't know yet how full-time he's going to be able to be, and B, I think the chase is what's going to build up. Give him that year of return redemption.
Bold prediction.
Yeah.
Slow build, and he wins next year's Royal Rumble.
Oh, I think I would
That's
I
a
would
good
believe
safe
that.
bet on that
It
one.
wouldn't shock me if Dean stays with the company, if somehow Rollins is the champion and they finally do the Shield triple threat. I mean, we're predicting a year down the line.
Yeah.
But I do think that that's a strong possibility. I think that they're going to wait and hold off and not have him in the WrestleMania match. I think that he's going to do something else.
Yeah, you take your
high
time.
profile.
Yeah.
Raska says, I'm so happy Reigns is back. He needs a huge title run. I think he'll get it down the road. Joey DiBardino, he says, B team, go, go, go. Raska says, Roman Reigns versus Batista or Dean Ambrose at Fastlane. Not going to be Ambrose. Not going to be Batista. I think that he's going to team with Ambrose. A lot of the rumors are, again, the Shield versus Corbin, McIntyre, and Lashley. John C. Danzo, he says,
I don't think we're going to see Batista again until WrestleMania. I think.
No, he'll be part of the build-up. That's it. Yeah, I
We'll
don't think
see.
you'll see him in the ring.
I think there will be communication.
Sure.
And he may appear live, but we're not going to see anything physical with him.
Well, he is advertised for Philadelphia.
Until maybe the Monday before the go home.
Well, he's advertised for this week in Philly.
Oh, and I'm sure he would be there, but I don't think there's any
in
physicality.
Yeah. Well, there could be physical. I don't think
Maybe
they're
not-
going to
not
have
in
any kind of a
ring.
match or
Yeah.
anything. Right. John says, who is next out on the WWE revolving door of future endeavored? I don't know that we're going to have any more cuts now until after Mania.
I told him maybe Dana Brooke,
Maybe. I could say it.
but like you said, it might. I'm not expecting it to be like tomorrow, for example. It's like if you had to name maybe the most likely, given the movement in the women's division, I'd probably say somebody like Dana Brooke or like Alicia Fox or something.
I mean, the cuts that they made sense because Itami and his injury issues, he's floundering here. And it's unfortunate, but it's just one of those things. There's been 5 years now that you've been working on this, or 4 years, and it hasn't worked.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, with Dillinger,
He asked for it.
he asked for it, and he pushed to get it done. Good riddance. I'm not a fan of it anyway, so see ya. He's just a guy, in my opinion.
After NXT, it wasn't anything.
It was annoying. The 10 counts while people were outside the ring drove me crazy. And TJP, I mean, if the rumors are true, the guy went and changed his body and his look without getting approval, particularly when you're talking about getting tattoos and stuff. You got to make sure that
changed his
cool.
body, his look, his tights,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Like he just basically adopted like this LA gangster look, and like you said, without any approval.
Yeah.
And they jobbed him out pretty hard in his last couple weeks in 205 Live too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of him either. He's a good in-ring worker, but to me, he has the charisma of the pieces of paper here that has the lazy category.
You know what he is? He is
and not even the inked side.
He is
the personality of the blank side.
He's a strong indie worker.
He's a strong in-ring worker, but I think in terms of WWE, he's an enhancement guy. I think he could get away with that in an AEW.
Do you think that that's why the cruiserweights just started off completely flat-footed? Is that
I said
That he was their first champion?
I think you
Yeah.
set a bad precedence by having him be the champion. I think they would have been in a little bit better shape if they would have gone with D. Brian Kendrick at that time, because at least he had some charisma. He had name and notoriety. It would have been a good start. People don't really know TJP that much.
Well, you know what's funny, and I was going to go in that direction as well. It's like look at the flop that ended up being, because the Cruiserweight Classic was only, 2 years ago? 1
Yeah.
year? Like, it wasn't that long ago, and this guy's already gone, and it's like, to me, obviously I agree with you. Brian Kendrick would have been, a good move just because he's a big name. But it's not even like T.J. Perkins was the most over guy. It was Cedric Alexander.
Exactly. Agreed.
So that, while he's not a huge name, it would have made sense because he was by far the most over during the
Well,
tournament.
I would even take it one step further, and I do agree with you. Cedric was the most over guy in the tournament. Vince really could have pushed the envelope if he would have put the title. You ready for this? Go ahead.
Grand Metalik.
No, I wasn't going there. I'm going bigger.
Bigger.
Who? I don't know.
Who's the biggest name in that tournament?
Tajiri.
No,
Kota Ibushi?
Kota Ibushi.
Yeah, but the whole thing with Kota, I didn't think of him because apparently he was never signing with WWE.
Yeah,
Well,
that was a one.
He wasn't signing with the WWE unless he won the tournament, and they didn't want him to win the tournament.
Interesting.
I would have just put the belt on him and signed him.
Come to think of it, too, they probably would have had a better shot at getting Kenny Omega if they had brought Kota in, only because Kota and him are old pals, and that kind of helps when you have someone who's in the system of WWE who's doing well.
Now, granted,
but
hindsight is
he's also-
2020
He's
here.
also pals with AJ, and he's
Yeah,
pals
he
with
is.
the Gallows and Anderson as
Yeah.
well,
But
and Finn. He's got relationships with those. I don't know that would have made that much of a difference, but
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that it would have made a difference with Omega, but if
there could have been other talent though that would have opened the door.
But
for
that's the thing is that if he basically says like I will sign if if I can win this tournament and come in as a champion, and they say no because they're going to put it on T.J. Perkins, the hell out of here.
Listen, and I think too, to your comment as well, taking a step further with Cedric Alexander, I think by having him be the face, it regressed Cedric Alexander's momentum coming out of that tournament. And he didn't gain a little bit of that steam back and then people fell in love with Rich Swann and his goofy dancing gimmick.
Yep.
And I felt like they were very lost in figuring it out. But now It kind of made that turn last year at Mania when they put it on Cedric Alexander, and then since then you've seen guys like you've seen how the evolution of the division has been with.
Well, you and I talked about this a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
like offline, that
Right.
205 Live like is really strong now.
Guys like Mustafa Ali,
Buddy
clearly
Murphy.
with Buddy Murphy, and his emergence has been absolutely huge for that division.
And Akira Tozawa is always a really good, strong worker. You can have a good match.
I like
with.
Tozawa a lot. I'm a fan of him.
Real quick question, not to get further into the 205 Live discussion, but why did they never even try to give it to Zack Sabre? Because Zack Sabre was a big name.
Yeah.
And we never saw anything from him ever again.
That's a good question. Maybe it was where they offered him something and he just said no, and he decided to go and stay big in Japan.
Also could have been another one of those deals where he was just in for the tournament. And
Just
that's it.
exposure and then.
I mean, I don't think that I never really looked into it, to be honest with you. I would be interested to try to get more information on what happened with him.
I mean, because he's right up there as far as indie guys. In my opinion, he's right up there with Kota Ibushi as far as big name indie guys.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, WWE has swung and missed on some of these tournaments. You talk about somebody like a Tessa Blanchard, who they had the inside track on, and they dropped the ball with her. It took them 2 tournaments to finally get it right with Mia Yim.
Well,
and finally
Tessa is now probably the biggest woman's name in the United States outside of WWE.
Not probably, 100%.
All right.
All around is the top women's wrestler and performer, sports entertainer of women outside of the WWE. I don't even think there's a question. I mean, you could look at names like a Taya Valkyrie or any of them. Maybe there's one you could throw in, but you'd probably have to start venturing to Japan and some of these other countries to find somebody who would even come up to par with that. Back over to the Facebook. Billy Thrasher, my home dog, the godfather of lazy booking here. He says, "You mean it's not a work?" Talking about Roman, you bastard. Joey, he says, "Harper Day, it's a new day." Yes, it is. Jake Friel says, "Bryce." Jake Friel says, "Bryce called the Nationals and said, come April 2nd at Nationals Park, the Washington Nationals will finally rest in peace," and rolled his eyes back. Nice, Jake. Billy says there's another show after All In. Ambrose is a work. I think he's talking about Ambrose leaving. I believe it is, too.
Real quick, while we're on the 205 Live
Tom says, "Yo, fam." What's up, Tom?
What's up, Tom? Have you guys seen this Humberto Carrillo yet?
I have.
He is good.
That's the yeah, that's
Okay.
isn't
I've
that
seen him, but I haven't watched any
is
of
that
his.
Hector Garza's nephew?
It's
Yeah.
Hector Garza's nephew. The guy looks like he is a Mexican soap opera star.
Yes.
He is
Like,
he's very handsome.
He is
I'm
a
not gonna lie.
handsome man, and he can go in the ring. I remember the first time I saw him, I looked and I was like, he's not going to be on 205 Live forever. Sinsudi's dying.
Get
That's
it out.
the effect
Get it
Alberto
out.
has on Maddie.
He's dying.
Matty got real emotional about how handsome he is. He was like, "Oh
I
my
want to
God."
be on a soap opera.
And the other guy there that is actually doing like ridiculously well is Mike Kanellis.
Oh yeah, Mike
Yeah.
Canales is
Like
looking very good there.
they're working a huge angle with him right now where he's losing every single week, but he's losing like 5-star matches by milliseconds.
Well, you know what that means, right?
Yeah.
He's probably the next champ after WrestleMania.
At some point, yeah.
Andy says, like the idea of having the Shield at Fastlane. It does make some changes to the theory that Roman and Dean save Seth after Seth wins at Mania. Doing a Shield send-off if Dean was retiring or leaving, I think he meant. Billy says, AEW ain't the Lakers. LOL. John says, any thoughts on the Page movie? It was so well done. I haven't seen it yet. I'm trying to go see it actually
I was
this
going to say, I'm
weekend.
hoping to see it Saturday night.
The feedback that I've gotten from the movie, unfortunately, apparently it hasn't done real well at the box office, but it's critically acclaimed.
97% on Rotten
It's
Tomatoes.
getting really good ratings on it, and from the people that I do know who have gone and seen it, spoke very highly about the movie. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Andy says, correct me if I'm wrong. Dean and Roman have not feuded. It's always been Seth and Dean, right? Pretty much, yeah. Billy says, Andy Ritter, I thought they did. I could be wrong. Ritter says, saw it on Sunday, so freaking good. I nitpicked it in this very ring, but it was so good. So Andy touched on it in this very ring. So if you guys want to get a little bit of a feedback on it, check out their show. It's in the A2D archives. You can definitely check it out.
For sure.
Andy says, I would like to see Roman versus Dean. It's new and fresh and a good way to kind of wrap up the Shield stuff. They've all aired their grievances and now are good to go. Back Seth as champ kind of thing.
The airing of the grievances? Like Festivus for the rest of us?
Roscoe's talking about Roman being a 5-time Rumble winner. I don't understand that, David. I'm sorry.
Actually, that would be accurate, though. If he wins next year, he would be a 5-time Rumble winner, wouldn't he? Or 4-time?
Roman?
3-time.
That would be 3 times.
That'd be 3
Yeah,
times.
3.
3 times.
Ty Scott says, congratulations on getting Bryce Harper, fellas. Thank you,
you.
Ty. Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Says he
you.
hopes his Rangers get somebody big in the future. Rob Lutman says, let's go. What's up, Rob? Billy says the 10 counts will still happen. I hope not, Bill. You know how much I fucking hate those. He says A2D Live happened at the Rumble. He wasn't signing. Sabre Jr. wasn't going to sign. So he was only in for a one-shot.
Okay.
Rosca says they need to bring a light heavyweight championship and a light heavyweight tag team championship and a cruiserweight tag team championship. It's the same division.
Same division.
So, I mean, if they want to do a tag championship, I wouldn't be opposed to that. But light heavyweight and cruiserweight is literally the same division. They just had different names for them.
Well, yeah.
It's the exact same division.
That was the knee-jerk reaction to the
Yeah.
cruiserweight division in WCW.
Right.
And I don't know if they would. I don't know about them adding a tag division for a couple of reasons. Number one, there's not enough guys
It's
on
not
205
deep,
Live.
right.
And number two, I don't see them going from 2 years ago introducing new tag titles for dual shows instead of them just having one. This year introducing women's tag titles, and then next year, cruiserweight tag titles. I feel like they're going to try and really space that out a little bit.
Agreed. I agree. Joey asks, is Lacey Evans ever going to wrestle? Or he follows up with the new Eva Marie, LOL. Not only do I think Lacey Evans is going to wrestle, I think Lacey Evans is going to get a monster push.
Well, Lacey Evans was in the Women's Royal Rumble.
Outside
so
of that, though, we haven't seen anything other than the
Correct.
entrance stuff. I think Lacey Evans is not only going to wrestle, she's going to get a big push.
Well, let's go back to what
she could be Asuka's challenger
Well,
at WrestleMania.
that's what I had said last week. And,
Yeah.
and Mike, I don't know if you got a chance to listen last week, but
I'm kind of following you with that, Brodo. It's not
my
impossible.
prediction is that Lacey Evans not only faces Asuka, she beats Asuka.
I don't think she beats Asuka, though.
I think what they're doing with her is Fandango versus Jericho all over again. Because if you remember with Fandango, he came to the ring, looked like he was going to wrestle, and then, no, not today. They're doing the same thing with Lacey Evans.
Well, she never comes to the ring like she's going to wrestle. She just
No,
randomly
just to the edge,
it's
and then
it's the catwalk.
yes, it's
But I don't think that she'll lose to Asuka, but I think they will give her a very good showing in that
Right.
match and get her over as a legitimate contender.
I hope so, because from what I saw at the Rumble, it didn't look all that good. But that's the Rumble, so it doesn't really count because it's not a singles match.
Yeah,
so.
Billy says she was number 1 in the Rumble. Lacey Evans was the number 1 entrant.
She was either number
was
1 or
two?
number 2. It was one of the first
Sasha?
numbers. No,
Natalia.
that was
Natalia.
Philadelphia.
Oh, Rice, Natalia.
that's why I didn't.
right.
That's why I didn't remember.
I can't get him right, Matty. I don't know.
Well, of course I remember the one with Sasha that she was number 1 in Philly.
Yeah, it's very on brand of you,
Freaking
Matty.
Sasha
Yeah.
Mark over here. And-
Somebody's got to be. I
And John
guess.
says, will we see Tony Storm and Rhea Ripley on the main roster, or will they stay in the UK? I think they're going to be in
I think
the
you're
UK,
going to be in
for,
the
a
UK for a little while, yeah.
They'll get here eventually. They're starting to appear. I think they're going to appear more on actual NXT programming
Yeah.
in the US as well, and takeovers. They're going to start doing that stuff. We got about 5 minutes, so we'll save the Rick 70th anniversary. We'll do that on the other side.
All right.
So, quick reactions to Matt Hardy coming back. I'm a fan of it, by the way.
I am as well.
And I'm a fan of it not being broken Matt Hardy as well.
I don't know how I feel about that yet. Because I think the Hardy Boys, they're like almost 50-year-old men. Like,
He does look in good shape, though.
It
does.
may evolve into something, though. I mean, it could possibly happen where it does eventually evolve into the Broken Hardys, where we do get Brother Nero and Broken Matt and we do have our actual tag for them on SmackDown.
See, I disagree with you, Matty, because if they were going to go in that direction, I feel like they would do it now, because they kind of did this thing when they first appeared, when they came back to where they were the Hardy Boys, then Matt started to evolve. I don't know if they're going to do that same thing where they are the Hardy Boys and then evolve again.
I feel like, and I think this could be more on Matt and not WWE at this point. I feel like they may have hit that point where they felt like we've peaked and we don't want this to be an absolute catastrophe going forward. So Matt stepped away, took his break, spent his time with his family. I think he learned a little bit about doing road agents work and stuff like that from what I read. He had done some work as far as learning how to be a producer. And I think now they're looking at it as an opportunity to give a little bit of an infusion into the tag division, particularly if there is one less major tag team in the division by the name of the New Day.
Interesting.
True.
Could be an opportunity to kind of not, you might miss a beat in one way, but not miss a beat as far as name power and star power.
On that, I'll say it again. Where the hell was Sanity? What?
I'm not crazy about Sanity.
This.
I've never been an EY guy. I like Killian Dane out of there.
Yes.
I would rather than break him out of that and just be that guy. I'm not a Sanity fan. Like, it was
didn't
cool.
EY just job to
Yes.
Ricochet
Yes.
last week?
Yes. Oh, everybody's jobbing to Ricochet at this point.
Well, that's the plan. Whether we
That's
like it
best
or not,
for business.
It is best for business.
I mean, basically, I think with the Hardys being fused in there, if they're doing that pretty much to keep the New Day away from the tag title picture, I think it's just a bridge gap between when they want to bring up Undisputed Era or something like that in the near future.
I don't think Undisputed's coming up. I don't.
Ever?
I think they're going to be used as the foundation for building NXT into their third global touring brand.
I don't know.
I think they're going to be there for a while.
Man, I would suck.
I mean,
they
they might get the
see them.
they might get the Finn treatment as far as being down there for a while, but I think eventually.
No, I mean eventually they will,
like
but not,
SummerSlam. Like
not anytime
SummerSlam.
soon.
It wouldn't shock me if they were a call up after WrestleMania, though. To be honest with you, it would not shock me.
And
Particularly if you're looking for a 3 or 4 man crew to work with, say, the Shield, and buy Roman a little bit more time.
the Shield's not going to even exist by then.
Let me ask you this, Crum.
Listen, they always dive into the Shield. It's always there in the back pocket.
Just the ace in the back pocket.
They don't have to be an everyday faction who every time they come out through the crowd together in order to still be the Shield and work together. They've proven that over the last year.
All right,
Where
fair
they
enough.
come out in Shield gear and then walk out later with their own personal T-shirts. So
Yeah.
it's there. If they want it to be there, it's there. Adam Cole, how do you make a name for yourself? Go after the big dog. Or Seth, if Seth's the
Half his
champion.
size.
Or just do your entrance because
Yeah.
with Adam Cole after the entrance,
So
well, you get what you
Well,
get.
here's the thing, though. Who's to say that we're even going to get any post-WrestleMania call-ups? Because we just got a big 4.
Well, I wasn't
You know
really
what I mean?
saying
Who's
it
to say
as-
that's even going to happen?
I wasn't even saying
There
it
will.
after
They-
WrestleMania.
They
I-
will. With the brand I think when they do the shake-up, they always bring somebody up. Go ahead.
I wasn't really saying necessarily WrestleMania. I was saying a little bit more further down the road, like maybe
Right.
towards a SummerSlam or Survivor Series area.
I agree with
I
you.
wasn't really thinking WrestleMania. It's because you just called up Ciampa and Gargano and Alistair and Ricochet.
Well, hold on a second,
Survivor
though.
Series would be a good opportunity, a good
Let's
time to do that.
Rewind that for a second because we don't know for sure that any of these 4 have quote unquote been called up. Because if you notice, whenever they go to the ring, they are advertised like when they run their name across the bottom third banner, they have an NXT logo.
That is true.
They are not advertised as Raw, SmackDown, or even WWE superstars. They are advertised with an NXT logo. Ciampa is still the NXT champion, and as of last night's episode of NXT, Ciampa and Gargano are teaming for the Dusty Rhodes Classic.
Well, Ciampa got hurt. You saw that, right?
I did not.
He got hurt in
Like,
the match. in the
legit
match,
or
neck.
angle?
He has an injury on Raw that they are going to nurse so that he's good to go for TakeOver.
But see, now here's the thing. If he goes into TakeOver as the NXT champion,
He's dropping the belt.
Right, but does he do double duty that night?
I don't know how the
Does he drop the belt and then win the Dusty Classic, or vice versa?
I don't know. I'm going to play a wait and see. We're just I really don't know the direction because it's so all over the place at this point. I couldn't ask me when you're back 2 weeks from now. Ask me.
Ask the question again.
Yeah.
Okay,
Bring it back to me.
We'll
then
put a pin in that one.
What are they doing as far as the graphics? Because the graphics thing is interesting. What are they doing with people like Lacey Evans and Heavy Machinery? Because they could easily be saying NXT with them because they're not going to it seems like that entire group they're going back and forth between shows.
No, they're official call-ups.
They are call-ups. They just haven't been assigned to a brand.
You
yet.
remember the vignettes that were about them being call-ups, EC3 and all them.
Yeah. By the way, where the hell is he?
Gone.
Yeah, I haven't seen him
I think
in a
he's
minute.
already wrong.
Last comments here before we jump up here. Roscoe was talking about Roman if he would have won 5 years in a row would have been a 5-time champion, or Rumble guy, which we know. Andy Ritter says, I say he drops the belt and wins the Classic because I think you are getting DIY on the main roster as heels. I would hope so, but we shall see. Guys, great stuff on the first half. Listen, other side, we got the Lazies coming at you guys, so do not forget we're going to give out our 2018 awards. We also had 2 other massive returns this week that we're going to talk about, one at the end of Raw and one at the beginning of SmackDown that were very impactful. We're going to talk about those on the other side.
All right, then. So the first half of Lazy Booking was brought to you by Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs, located at 703 Black Horse Pike, Englandore, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-939-2030. Email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com.
And again, to the Instagram, Twitter fam, Periscope, Facebook, the link's going to be at the top of the page. We'll drop a link in the comment section as well. Join us second half. We are moving over exclusively to the YouTube.
Where I hate 90% of you.
Yeah. And a lot of you guys usually make that jump. Make the jump. We're going to have a lot of fun. For Mataraki, the Ginger Gang, and Brodo, we're taking our break, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
Boom!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Lazy Booking right here on A2DRadio.com. Brought to you by Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Give them a call, 856-889-3434, or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com.
We are back here on Lazy Booking Thursday night. We're taking you to 9:30, and then you'll have a little half-hour break before Matty rejoins you for Hockey Happy Hour. Lots to talk
Triple
about.
H.
Triple H.
The Hockey Happy Hour.
I will always love the way William Regal says that.
And they tag team with Umanga.
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 But yeah, guys, listen. So we kicked off a little bit, just kind of touched on the Hardys, other returns we had this week. So I want to hear. I'm interested to hear your response on the presentation of Ric Flair's 70th birthday, which I thought was a brilliantly written segment. By the way,
I am 100% in agreement.
Yeah,
I liked it.
yeah.
I very much liked what they did with it. It was like, they're doing a storyline thing with this. I like it.
Yeah.
I thought it was especially sold for me when they had Sting and Ricky Steamboat in the ring, because Steamboat doesn't work for them anymore.
No,
so.
but he's still a guy that can show up if they need
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Sting was a little more of the coup of coups.
Yeah.
I've been using that word a lot today. But that was one of those. I was sold. It was
Like,
legit.
yeah,
The
like
video packages.
Right. Like, you have those guys in the ring, you don't think there's going to be anything other than a legitimate birthday celebration.
Can
Then you get swerved.
we do this all the time, but can we mention again how spectacular the video packages are that WWE presents?
They're phenomenal. They're absolutely phenomenal.
Kevin Dunn and the production that they do on those things is outstanding.
Yeah, for as much as I hate the 742 camera cuts during a match, their video packages are phenomenal.
And I have to tell you, speaking of the camera cuts, and we're not going to get into a conversation of it, but they have been atrocious over the last month.
Yes, they have.
The camera work has been terrible. But that said, man, they did the pomp and circumstance, everybody out, from the roster. They have everybody come down. They had Kurt Angle. They had Sting. They had Steamboat.
Yep.
Was there anyone else? Shawn Michaels came out.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously, they give the whole introduction. They show the video package. Music hits.
Did you notice, too, they did the replica belt that looked like the old WCW big gold belt?
Yes, they did. And
it
see
had
the
the two
plates?
side. My man, attention to detail.
They had the
two side plates.
Had the side plates
with all 16.
All 16. Now,
Yep.
I didn't see what was on it. I don't know if it was the dates that he won them, or
might
if
be
it
the
was who he.
reigns.
Or each one represented each reign. There was 8 on one side and 8 on another. I didn't see enough detail to see if it was dates or if it was maybe the opponents.
But
that
you
he
could tell that there
defeated.
was 8 lines on each.
Or the years, yeah. But he had 8 lines on each. It was a beautiful belt.
See, I want to see if you guys noticed this. So as you guys, remember, it started happening like a couple months ago, but they always used to go a couple minutes over 11 o'clock, like 11:05. But all of a sudden, the last handful of months, it's a clear, okay, at 11 o'clock, we're done. It's like the old Nitro, like, we'll see you next week on Nitro. You know what I mean? Like, they're running out of time. So I'm watching the clock because I'm always in the past, couple weeks or to a month.
They've been ending on time.
And they've kind of, you notice when they've kind of botched the whole timing of it. Like, sometimes they have to really rush it.
Yeah.
So I kind of pay attention to that. And it's 10:57. And Ric Flair's still not out there.
Yeah.
That's when they had the Sting announcement, or the Sting introduction. And it hit me. I'm like, okay, either there's two things that are happening now. Either they really botched this to where, Ric's got to get, he has to run out there, eat the birthday cake, and that's it, done. Or he's not coming out.
Yeah.
And it still surprised me because what I thought was going to happen was they Ric Flair's music hits, he doesn't come out, and then Batista's music hits, and he's just standing on the ramp, and Michael Cole, why is Batista here? Why is Batista here? So even in that moment, while I was expecting something, it still was better than my expectations.
Well, and you know what? You could even say before then, too, with the match between Bayley and Nia, it went a little bit longer than you would think if they were planning on doing that celebration. It did go a little bit longer than expected.
See, I actually, now it's funny because we talked earlier about the fact that I was kind of tipped off to what had happened with Roman. I had no idea Batista was there.
See, now that's the opposite. I did know Batista was there.
I knew The Rock was in the building.
Right.
And he apparently wanted nothing to do with the show. He just wanted to be there for his cousin.
Yeah.
But I thought that you may get an appearance from The Rock during the Ric Flair thing. I had no idea Batista was in the building.
I thought.
And when I saw him, I was like, oh, it's fucking awesome.
See, now I knew Batista was in the building, but I just thought, hey, it's Ric Flair's thing.
Yeah.
And I could still have seen them maybe posture a Triple H angle out of it, but not in the execution of that it was.
Which they did it now.
And then also with where I knew Dwayne was in the building, there was a little part of me that thought maybe in a friendly way there could be a Roman Rock challenge for WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of there. It didn't happen. That was fine. But I did know Batista was in the building. I actually forgot, though, when the segment happened that Batista was in the building. I had expected it the whole time, but once everybody came out, I just was kind of caught up in watching it, and I totally forgot he was in the building. But then, so obviously, no Ric Flair. Then all of a sudden you see a camera guy getting pulled over.
That was a weird camera shot, wasn't
It
it?
was a weird camera shot, but
I
they've
don't know
been doing that, though.
I
It's
know.
unusual.
It's like
It's
a
like,
stationary camera back there. It
What
very
was that
strange.
thing back in the 90s? What was it, GFETV or something like that, that would show those
No,
angles?
GTV.
GTV.
GTV,
It was almost
right.
like one of those things where it's just like, oh, cutaway, GTV. Oh, hey, there's Batista dragging a cameraman.
But he gets the cameraman and boom, just goes in, brings out Hunter. Well, obviously they're not going to beat up Ric Flair on the air anymore.
Right.
But brings out Ric Flair,
You
drags
hear,
him out.
You hear a quote-unquote scuffle.
Yeah. Drags Rick out, and then he
You know,
just.
you know what would have been a mega payoff on that?
What's that?
They showed him get out of the limo with his wife. If you hear the wife
Scream.
in the locker room,
I did.
that would have been phenomenal.
That I picked up on, too. I was disappointed they didn't have that. But the execution of dragging out, and there has to be a flub. And there was a fucking flub this time.
What that Flair wasn't
scream,
busted?
no,
that
the
he wasn't busted
scream
open?
by Batista. If Batista literally would have just said, Hunter, do I have your attention now?
Oh, yeah.
Forget the, huh?
Huh?
Which, by the way, the video you sent us was
I almost want to play that.
I was
spectacular, by the way.
huh?
I gotta find it. I gotta
Oh,
find
so
it.
good. But anyway, it was excellent, aside from the weird
That was
screech
a
from
flub.
him.
That was a flub.
But if he would have literally just said, do I have your attention now, Hunter, and then had that smirk on his face that he has, it
And
would
it
have
just
been
had it all fade to black.
absolutely brilliant.
I think you found
So
it.
here you go.
Oh, no.
So good. It's so good. Oh, man. No, but, yeah, I mean, I loved it beginning to end, minus the,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we can all
I'm not going to
agree.
lie. I started laughing when that happened. I'm like, what the fuck was that?
And I'm happy now that we know the direction, that Triple H is getting healthy enough to be there for WrestleMania, because I know that was touch and go.
Right.
And also the fact that we are getting the Batista-Hunter match that we have wanted for a while.
That they teased. Not all the what was it? That SmackDown episode.
SmackDown 1000.
Yep.
And can we – I think that we should mention the fact that they had started to position Hunter and Stephanie as heels again. And I now, in hindsight, don't think it's an accident that they started to backtrack off of that and put the heat on Vince, because Hunter's going to be the face in this.
Don't you do this to me.
Hunter's going to be the face.
Get out of my head.
Well,
But
can
Hunter is going to be the face in this feud because heel Batista is spectacular.
Well,
It is.
can we now jump to Kofi real quick, because you're taking me down the Primrose Path.
Well, let's go over it. So now obviously
Pretty much
SmackDown
the
rolls out.
obvious thing. Yeah.
Again, another really good job by WWE to kind of build up this contract signing. And what I really loved about it was Daniel Bryan didn't say a word.
Yeah, he just sat there.
He
the whole
sat
time.
there and let everything unfold and didn't react to anything. We didn't have the fickle shit or any of that.
I
was
love it. I love it when
brilliant.
old school heel things happen, and he's just sitting there, just like, okay, I'm just gonna watch this shit happen.
Sat there, smug look on his face. Obviously, they build Kofi up and how he's earned this and yada, yada, yada. And then, no chance. That's what you got to.
And my general thought on this is, with the leaning back now of Shane and Stephanie on Tuesday, Hunter and Stephanie with Becky, and we apologize to you. You apologize to us. You're back in the main event at WrestleMania. There is a very clear reversal of field here. I think Shane has always been babyface with maybe hints of an edge. I think what they're doing now, though, is they're positioning Stephanie to be just a right down the middle professional representative of the company. Triple H becomes the babyface, and what you're seeing right now are the first seeds being planted of the McMahon family empire explosion, so that Vince can go run the XFL and Hunter can take over.
That would make sense.
It's deep.
It is deep.
But it makes sense because how many times have we seen the power struggles in the past between the McMahons and now this is a little bit more different because of the XFL.
It's been a while, though,
since
been a while.
Vince
has been a figurehead in the McMahon dissension. It's been since the Attitude Era.
It's been a middle of it.
Think about this, though, because the four of them were in the ring a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, and they said that
stood united.
So, yeah, we're going to stand united. We're going to do things that the fans want to see. We're going to give you new, fresh matches, blah, 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 blah. And the way it's been positioned now is that Shane, Stephanie, and Triple H are listening to the fans, and Vince is the ultimate heel.
But that's the best part of it because that plays on the smarks so wonderfully, because how many times is it that someone gets on the horn and yells at Vince McMahon and says, Vince is out of touch, he's an old dinosaur, he needs to leave. Mm-hmm. It's perfect. It's like you have the perfect storyline. Have Vince ultimately come out every time, change matches, and piss the fans off every single night.
I agree with you.
Two things. So on Mike's theory, which I agree with, let's go back to when Triple H and Dean Ambrose were in the ring together, 3 or 4 weeks ago, when we said like, oh, that was one of Dean's best performances in months or years because it was different. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go back to a certain phrase that Triple H used, which he never used to, something only Vince ever used to use, or even Stephanie. He told Dean Ambrose to get out of his ring. He never used to say that. Mm-hmm. He only used to say that in one place, NXT.
Right.
I think that was said not by accident. I think, going along with your theory, Mike, that's planting the seeds of what's to come. It's that you want the fans to get that in their minds of, oh, it's his ring.
Well, can I give you something that I think backs that? Mm-hmm. You notice when they were announced on Monday, they were announced as Stephanie McMahon and the COO of WWE, Triple H.
It's not just Triple H anymore.
They never announce her by her title, but they always announce him by his title.
Mm-hmm. The second part, and this is more on the Kevin Owens, Kofi Kingston thing, it appears as if my what if from a couple weeks ago will be coming true. That it's going to be Daniel Bryan with formerly of the Wyatt family, the two big guys, against Kofi Kingston in the New Day, and Kofi Kingston's winning at WrestleMania. That's what I mean, because to me, you don't make that move if Kofi's not winning at WrestleMania.
Well, I think that, right, I agree with you on that. I think that you're 100% right. So just to kind of get back and clear up if anybody didn't see it, Kofi Kingston replaced by the returning Kevin Owens, who looks in phenomenal shape.
I marked out. I absolutely marked out.
Me too.
Only because I'm a huge Owens fan.
Me too.
And then when I got done marking out over Owens, I realized how pissed off I was at the storyline, which is fine because you were supposed to be.
Yeah. Right. But I like that they didn't make Kevin Owens the villain in this, and even at the conclusion of the match, they didn't make him the villain in this. I think that we're finally going to get that face Kevin Owens run, but I think a much more serious, focused Kevin Owens, which I'm really excited about, and I hope that that's the direction they're going. But I agree with you wholeheartedly, Ryan, that, it's not going to be a 3 versus 3 with the title, but it's going to be.
No, I mean,
it's going to be. I don't know. Still, I'm not convinced that Harper's going to come back with him.
I think it makes sense just for the sheer numbers game because you know the New Day.
Right.
When I say 3v3, I mean they're going to have 2 people in each corner.
Maybe. It could be. I mean, I think that you're going to get it still wouldn't surprise me if it ends up being a triple threat at WrestleMania.
That would make sense.
And and have Kevin Owens in that match.
See, I don't know
Well,
if they would
now,
do.
hold on a second, though, because if they're going to go triple threat, you could go 4-way because you still have Mustafa Ali simmering in the background.
But I don't think he's going to be back in time for Mania.
We don't know. But if he is, they very easily could have him come out and say, hey, Kofi, that's my spot.
Well, I actually disagree with you because Mustafa Ali and Kofi kind of play the same role here.
exactly.
Like we
I
talked
agree. I'm
about,
with you.
the underdog type guy.
Correct.
Now, it's different because Kofi's the veteran and you have the legitimate spin of, oh, well, that was Mustafa Ali's original spot.
Right.
I don't believe they're going to go in that direction now. They can go somewhere with that in the future like they did with Finn Balor. Like,
Agreed.
well, I never lost it. So therefore, I know it was like Finn never lost the title, but Mustafa Ali never lost his opportunity.
Right.
It was taken away from him.
And he's a young guy who has a chance to come back, and he's going to have momentum down the road. I don't see them even messing. I mean, they know now that they have lightning in a bottle. The fact that they changed this match, and this was a changed match, they were planning, he wasn't supposed to be in the main event at Fastlane. They made that the main event. With the momentum that continued to carry, they decided we got to roll with this and take this to Mania. And by the way, I really hope that Kofi does win the title at WrestleMania. What an awesome moment for a guy who really deserves it.
I also disagree with it might be a triple threat. While I think it would make sense given what's happening now, I don't believe WWE in 2 of their 3 biggest matches would go triple threat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let me ask this question because it's a fair question to ask. Would it surprise you that after years and years of not having a African-American WWE champion that Kofi Kingston would be the guy to get the nod?
No, not at all.
I think that he is so well respected. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. And I told you guys, the article that I read from less than a year ago, it was a while ago, was talking about eventually they could see Kofi being a guy that get a singles push.
As a whole,
I don't think they saw this coming, but
as a whole, I would have thought maybe in previous time periods before Kofi was there that there was a few people that they could have put a WWE title on, but they didn't because John Cena was around.
Yeah.
But, I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, when you look at all the other African-American athletes who are talented, Kofi's a great choice out of all of them.
Think about this for a minute, though. You could find yourselves in a situation where you would have the WWE champion, Kofi Kingston, one half of the WWE women's tag team champion, Sasha Banks, and the United States champion, R-Truth. That is like earth-shattering, groundbreaking stuff for WWE.
Sure it is.
And we kind of talked about this last week that if you went in the direction of Bryan versus Kofi at WrestleMania, not only does it right itself in the short term for WrestleMania, because like we talked about, Kofi Kingston is now the guy that Daniel Bryan was, to where the crowd really got him in this position. He's really been adopted by the crowd. It writes the next 4 to 5 months, in my opinion, of WWE programming to where if Kofi wins, eventually the New Day are turning on him. And then you have the next opponent. So if it's Big E, you get him instant heat, and then that's a new program. So you're writing months and months of programming with just one storyline decision. And you see that's very rare these days.
What I love about it, too, is that it was organic. Because a lot of things in modern time in WWE are very forced.
Yep.
And sometimes they're accepted forced because you knew it was coming, but you don't mind it. Then other times it's like, really? You had to do it? Like, there was millions of other ways you could have gone about it, but you did it that way.
So I know you got to get to the Lazies.
Yeah, I'm going to get
the one thing that I want to say is I hope. I think we're all in agreement that Kevin Owens does not walk out of Fastlane with that title.
No.
I would love to see him show up on Raw the next night and issue a challenge to Finn Balor for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Only because I think it would be a hell of a match. I just don't have any logical storyline to put it together.
I don't think that that's going to happen.
I don't think it is
I agree
either.
with you.
I could buy maybe him beating R-Truth for the U.S. title. But if he's a face, you don't want to do face versus face against R-Truth.
I don't think they're going to do face versus face with Owens in the early stages.
No, I don't think so either.
Once you establish that role for him, that's a different story.
Yeah.
A couple comments, and then we're gonna jump in and try to plow out these lazies here. Andy Ritter says Sting looked like he didn't care to be honest, care to be there. Honestly, I didn't get that impression.
I'm pretty sure he's crying all the way to the bank.
John C. Danzo, he does ask, are you still going to do the gimmick stuff? We are. We had wholeheartedly the intention of doing this week.
And then Roman
I'm
showed
sure you
up.
understand when Roman and the news broke with that. And then all the returns this week, we thought, listen, we got to do something. And we couldn't go into March without doing the 2018 awards. It was the odd man out this week.
We need to change it from Big Match John to Big Match Roman.
Yeah.
That's official now.
Yeah, but it's in the works, buddy. We're gonna get it done. We're gonna try to hold off until Mikey's back for in 2 weeks from now. Andy says, did y'all catch the exclusive that came out a day or two of what happened after Raw went off the air? Angle and HBK hit their finishers on Mahal and the brothers. Didn't say it.
Nope. No.
Rosca says John Tavares got booed by the Islanders fans. And he says Shane McMahon should control WWE next to Triple H. Ritter says, I actually agree with Mike. I think this is building to a way to get Vince out and let him focus on the XFL and possibly walk away from WWE. Rosca says Mandy versus Asuka for the SmackDown Women's title. She's going to win. And WWE should make a sitcom.
Shut up, Phillips.
All right. Gentlemen, 2018 third annual Lazies. So we had a group of 11 people that we asked, including ourselves, on the air
Call
right
them
now.
The panel.
Another would be Billy, obviously, and a couple other of our close confidants. So
You have the drum roll ready there, Brodo?
I have a music bed.
Oh.
Perfect.
I'm probably going to go through these pretty quick. So if you just want to let the music bed play in the background,
Gotcha.
I like it. This almost sounds like it would be like 1995, like
Slammy Awards?
oh my God!
To me, it sounds like the ESPYs music that they'll play in like the nominees. The nominees are.
I feel like this is like in 1995 with like on Mania and Todd Pettengill's like reviewing the awards.
Oh, God.
Even better. Even better.
My Lord, I love it. All right, so we're gonna go straight to match of the year.
You may want to bring it down just a tick.
Our candidates for match
There
of the
you
year were Gargano versus Ciampa, no DQ at NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Lesnar versus Bryan, Survivor Series, Gargano and Almas at NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, last woman standing at WWE Evolution. And we had
Your
the
winner
Undisputed
is-
Era versus Mustache Mountain. And your winner is Gargano and Ciampa.
Phenomenal match.
Had the majority clearly in that. Other matches that got a vote, Gargano and Almas, Undisputed Era and Mustache Mountain, and Becky Lynch and Flair. But a clear-cut favorite was Gargano and Ciampa. I went with Becky Lynch and Flair, but I was teetering between those two. Any shocks there, guys?
No, I mean, it's not a shocker. I went with Gargano and Almas.
Yeah.
Only because I love that match.
It was a phenomenal match. I was there for both of those, Gargano and Almas and Gargano and Ciampa. So, pretty great crowds to be in. Shocking moment of the year. Daniel Bryan announcing his return. Chris Jericho in his appearance at All In. Roman Reigns announcing his leukemia diagnosis. And
Why did the
Paige-
music get all dramatic when we went to shocking moment of the year?
So
It's
fitting,
awesome.
though.
In the words of Alberto Del Rio, Destiny!
And Paige forced to retire. The clear-cut favorite was Roman Reigns and his leukemia diagnosis. Shocking it wasn't a unanimous one. There was a vote for Paige being forced to retire, which I do think was a very surprising and very very abrupt
Very sudden.
thing. But clearly Roman Reigns and the impact that impacted a lot of things over the year. Our social media champion of the year, which I kind of wish we did have a little more time because we could have gone through the stuff today alone that was out there between two people. But we have Becky Lynch, Big E, Chris Jericho, Xavier Woods, and Velveteen Dream, who in gimmick is spectacular on Twitter. Becky Lynch is the winner. There were votes also for Big E, Chris Jericho, and Xavier Woods. None for Velveteen, but Becky Lynch was a clear winner in this one as well.
I think if Velveteen was on the main roster, he would have gotten votes.
Yeah.
I'll leave that there.
Yeah. Feud of the year. AJ and Bryan Gargano and Ciampa, Becky Lynch and Charlotte, AJ Styles, and Samoa Joe.
I feel like this is a 2-horse race on this one.
What's the 2 horses that you have?
It's Charlotte, Becky, and I'm sorry, read them back again. Ciampa, Gargano.
All right. So Ciampa and Gargano, a clear favorite in this. This one with 9 of the potential 11 votes from the panel. The only other one to get votes, 2 for AJ and Samoa Joe.
Really?
Wow.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Our wrestling podcast.
So it was a 2-horse race, just not the 2 that I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah. You backed one of the wrong horses. Our wrestling podcast of the year. We have Something to Wrestle With, Talk is Jericho, E&C's Pod of Awesomeness, The Steve Austin Show, and 83 Weeks. We went 5 on this one, as we did with Match of the Year. In a tight race, which was actually tied. So we had to go back to another member of the panel who voted for one of the others to break the tie. And the winner in a 5-4 score, Talk is Jericho defeats Something to Wrestle With. But I do think that if the people who didn't vote for that would have listened to Something to Wrestle With, it'd be different.
It'd be a different story.
Both are fantastic podcasts,
Yes.
though. Absolutely fantastic
Agreed.
podcasts.
I just look at it because I've listened to both and I like both.
Yeah.
I find myself going back and listening to older versions of Talk is Jericho a lot
Sure.
more than I do, obviously Something to Wrestle With.
And
That's
I do
the
think,
difference.
in fairness, too, we grew up in that era. That is primarily what Bruce Pritchard and Conrad go through. So for us to hear the backstories and have actually lived it and experienced in real time, it does add an extra element to it.
And
Whereas you young bucks, pun intended,
Well, there is, if he goes to some, he does later stuff that is
Yeah.
when they grew up as well.
I look at it as the best wrestling podcast episode of all time is Talk is Jericho, and that's him and Paul Heyman and Edge and Christian.
They
So,
are good. They're
well,
good
spe-
episodes.
Speaking of
I mean,
that,
that's
that was the
fan-
one I was backing was Edge and Christian
Yeah.
because those two are hilarious.
It's a great podcast. I just listened to, I finally listened to the Seth Rollins one.
Yeah.
Excellent,
And
excellent
I
podcast.
can't recommend the one with Gangrel anymore. Oh my God, it was hilarious.
Commentator of the Year, Mauro Ranallo, Corey Graves, Renee Young, and Kevin Kelly of NJPW.
shut up, Phillips.
There were votes for everybody on the board.
Interesting.
But the winner in a tight race, 4-3, Mauro Ranallo edges out Corey Graves.
Mamma mia!
There was a vote for Renee Young and a vote for Kevin Kelly as well. But Mauro Ranallo, 2-time winner. Corey Graves won last year. Mauro won 2 years ago. In the
Are you
initial-
kidding?
I'm trying to think. So I don't know if it was on Raw and SmackDown. I was like, I put it in my notes. I meant to put it in my notes as like reference. There was a moment where it was something with one of the women's wrestlers. Something happened, and all of a sudden Corey Graves says to somebody else who was talking. I think it was on SmackDown. He's like, Saxton, you ruined it. You ruined it.
Yeah.
Just I don't know what it was about. It's driving me crazy.
Probably Mandy Rose.
Probably.
Well, it was funny on Raw with Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
That's it. That was it. That was it, by the way. It was when it was a moment of bliss when Alexa Bliss was talking about the abs and everything. If you show me your abs, I'll show you my. And then
That's
Leah
right.
and then Corey Graves.
That's right.
Leah ruined it. You ruined it, Leah.
Tag Team of the Year, we have The New Day, Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. Undisputed Era, Young Bucks, Mustache Mountain. Clear favorite in this one with 6 votes. Undisputed Era wins. New Day had 2 votes. Young Bucks won. Mustache Mountain had 1. Surprisingly, none for Drew and Dolph in the year that they had, because I felt like it was in terms of looking at just 2018 and how that helped to rejuvenate Drew McIntyre to the main roster audience. I didn't vote for them, clearly, but I thought that they would get a vote somewhere. A little shocked by that, but not shocked at all that Undisputed Era won. I think we're pretty.
It's just the strength of the 2018, I think.
Yeah. NXT Female Superstar of the Year. This was another tight one that had to be broken. Shayna Baszler, Kairi Sane, Rhea Ripley, and Toni Storm. There was a tie at 3-3 between Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane. 2 votes each, though, for the other ladies. It was tight. But the deciding vote from Mr. Brodo,
It's not Shayna Baszler.
it was Kairi Sane. So we are right in line with NXT.
See, and it's funny because I can't stand Shayna Baszler, but I voted for her because I give her all the credit in the world for being a 2-time NXT Women's Champion.
Our
even,
NXT
Even though I think she's greener than goose shit.
Our NXT Superstar of the Year. This was a 5 spot. Pete Dunne, Ricochet, Velveteen Dream, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano.
This was the toughest one for me.
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
Maybe not for me. Tommaso Ciampa, hands down.
That's who I went with, yeah.
Tommaso Ciampa won in a landslide. The only other one to get votes was Johnny Gargano. But
Really?
he had 2 votes. Everything else went to Tommaso Ciampa.
You sense the theme going on here.
Our non-WWE Superstar of the Year, another 5 spot. We went Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, Walter, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Kazuchika Okada.
The Rainmaker.
Tight race,
Really?
tighter than I thought it would be between Cody and Kenny. No votes for anyone else. 6 votes gets Kenny Omega the W in this one.
Okay.
We have our Woman of the Year, Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Tessa Blanchard. Everyone got votes, including Tessa.
Good. That's how it should have been for those 4.
Ronda got 2, Charlotte 2, Becky Lynch wins with 4, 1 for Tessa. So I looked at this award as a little bit differently. I went more with the impact of the overall scale, not particularly just the character.
Right.
So I actually went with Ronda because of the attention that her signing has brought on to WWE. Forget ratings. I'm talking mainstream recognition. In our WWE Superstar of the Year, we had Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, Becky Lynch, and The Miz in a landslide, folks. Who wins?
The Miz.
Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch. Seth got a vote. Miz got a vote. None for AJ Styles.
We have to vote for the man.
Couple additional awards we threw out that really they weren't votes. They were clear cuts. Best non-wrestling segment, I think we would agree, the SmackDown Women invading Raw.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down. Breakout Superstar of the Year, clearly Becky Lynch. Comeback of the Year, Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
And Rookie of the Year, it has to be Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, there's no question.
Yeah.
And then in the somewhat sad part of everything, the list in memoriam of people who we lost this year and from the wrestling industry: Big Bully Busick, Brian Christopher Lawler, Brickhouse Brown, Bruno Sammartino, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Johnny Valiant. That's a list of Hall of Famers right there.
Yep.
Neidhart's probably going in this year with the Hart Foundation. Maso Saito, Matt Capitelli, that was an unfortunate one.
Sad.
Nikolai Volkov, another Hall of Famer. Paul Jones, Vader. Mountain Fiji, one of the original Glow women.
Girls, yep.
Dick Slater, Jose Lothario, Dynamite Kid, and Larry the Axe Hennig. So rest in peace to those folks. Guys, lots of fun. I'll post the winners on social media so people can say, or no, screw them. I'll encourage them to watch the end of it. Anyway, great show today, guys. I think we can come out of this week knowing that we're really getting full throttle into WrestleMania season. We're going to have a lot to talk about coming up. Matty, give us a read.
All right, then. So, Lazy Booking was brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, your certified public accountants, located at 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA. You can give them a call, 215-369-3300. It is tax season, so be ready, be prepared, and call Gibson Mayer.
Guys, top of the hour. Hockey Happy Hour is coming at you. Stick with them. Thank you for joining us again. Mikey, we'll see you in 2 weeks. But next week, they're stuck with our beautiful, handsome ginger faces, Matty. The Ginger Gang will be back with Mr. Brodo on the 1s and 2s. Until then, guys, have a wonderful week. Thanks to Scanzano Sports 2 for doing the poll question. As always, we look forward to talking to you next week. Have a good one.